Stepping into higher realms. There is a path of wisdom that can change your life and raise your consciousness to new levels in a world when seeking the truth and realizing your inner strength is more important than ever. This spiritual journey reveals to you the skill of conscious living and how your reality is shaped by every word, thought, and emotion. It's a remarkable journey to unlocking your potential, conquering obstacles, and creating a harmonious, purpose-driven life. When you walk this road, you'll find the creative power within leading you on a trip lit by both contemporary truths and age-old wisdom. Every step is a chance to develop, recover, and change. You'll discover how to steer clear of mental pitfalls, comprehend the meaning behind your soul's language, and create a reality that is the best representation of who you are. This is a journey toward authenticity, joy, and enlightenment, a venture that redefines what's possible and invites you to live in harmony with the universe and with yourself. With every teaching, you'll come closer to unraveling the intricate tapestry of life, recognizing how the interconnectedness of all things influences your daily experience. This audiobook is rooted in the teachings of Saint Germain's Universal Metaphysics, an essential work for those seeking to deepen their spiritual and philosophical knowledge. It brings together the wisdom of the Ascended Master, offering practices and meditations designed to help you connect with your divine presence, the I Am. Discover how powerful decrees and spiritual exercises can transform your life, fostering peace, harmony, and personal fulfillment. Perfect for spiritual seekers, this book will guide you on a journey toward greater understanding and spiritual growth. Lesson 1. Unveiling the Invisible. Each individual possesses a unique level of understanding and acceptance of certain truths. They believe in some things and reject others, unable to accept them. This level of understanding and acceptance is the state of consciousness, gradually shaped through experiences as a result of free will. The level of consciousness is like a ladder with many steps, and all human beings on this planet are positioned on one of those steps, either higher or lower, depending on their attained level of comprehension, which is their truth. In the spiritual realm, there are many paths to achieving inner evolution: philosophies, religions, esoteric schools. These are all different levels that are necessary and should be respected. A metaphysician always behaves with understanding and tolerance, avoiding arguments or disputes over religious or spiritual matters. They do not criticize or believe themselves to be better, smarter, or wiser than others. It is crucial to understand the concept of the ladder and the levels of consciousness as steps for living in peace with others and avoiding the pitfalls of spiritual pride, which might lead to looking down on what seems inferior. In this context, there is no such thing as inferior or superior. These are internal levels that are surpassed through greater understanding and personal effort. Metaphysics means beyond the physical, beyond the material world and concrete realities. Metaphysics teaches truths that exist but are not seen. Yet, despite being invisible, these truths produce certain results, because from that invisible world comes the visible, the source of all that manifests. For example, energy is not in the motor we see but comes from the invisible, and yet it is accepted as a concrete reality. Many truths exist but cannot be seen or touched. Normally, we believe in and accept a series of invisible phenomena, like electricity, magnetism, heat, life, and love. All of these are unseen, just like the ideas that produce material forms. There are other realities beyond what we see and touch. They are much more important and transcendental, and we must know them to free ourselves from many dangers and difficulties common in the ignorant world. The truth will set you free. Therefore, it is necessary to know and understand in order not to fall into unhappiness. Occultism is a type of spiritual teaching that has been called a cult because it had to remain hidden in the past, accessible only to the most sincere seekers due to the frequent persecution born of ignorance and fanaticism. You know that in this Aquarian age, occultism is being uncovered due to the very progress of humanity. The avatar of the New Age, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, gave orders for these truths to no longer remain hidden, for there is no reason for secrecy in the Age of Light. Thus, the instruction is given to all who wish to hear it, without any distinction, payment, hidden initiations, or mysterious silences. The veil of mystery has fallen. There are no more secrets, for all possess the truth, and everyone has the intelligence to comprehend it. The metaphysical level you are on. Metaphysics has many expressions that are different levels of understanding and truth. All spiritual knowledge that has surpassed the religious level is metaphysical. You know that there are serious and sincere metaphysical schools like the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, the Gnostics, the Spiritualists, and now even the scientific level of parapsychology. All these metaphysical levels should be respected because they are necessary, since each person places themselves according to their vibrational level and understanding of the truth in the place most conducive to their continued progress. We metaphysicians who are here belong to the Saint Germain Brotherhood, which is the highest spiritual level currently on Earth, as it has been directly projected by the avatar of the New Age, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, from the high spheres of light through Conny Méndez and duly prepared channels. Faith in the invisible. To advance in the light, faith is necessary in both the visible and the invisible. However, a metaphysician strengthens their faith through the verification of results. Anyone who remains in the teaching with a mind full of skepticism and frequent doubts will achieve nothing, because faith is needed to move mountains, as the Bible says. It will not be blind faith, but one based on knowledge and the practice or verification of results. By their fruits you shall know them. Everything is known by its fruits. The new thinking must be generally accepted, as it is urgently needed now. Change cannot be imposed, but must be gently sought by each individual and accepted within themselves. Dogmas and ostentatious rituals that impress from the outside are no longer necessary because spiritual awakening and progress in evolution come from within and not from the outside. Nothing changes externally if it has not first changed internally. Among the fundamental truths that liberate from suffering are the following. Everything is generated in the mind. Man creates his own destiny, the conditions of his life, his misfortunes, his joys. Everything is his own doing. God is not in the clouds, but in the heart of every human being. There are no sins, only mistakes that can be corrected. There is no eternal hell. You must set your mind positively if you want your life to improve and leave behind the old world of suffering and limitation. Today is the day of a new beginning. Today is renewal. Everything comes from the eternal present. Lesson 2. A journey through the teachings of Saint Germain. The Saint Germain Brotherhood represents a profound spiritual level that you have now connected with, requiring a heightened state of consciousness to grasp its teachings. This is the most advanced instruction currently available on the planet, projected directly from the realms of light by Saint Germain and the Ascended Masters of the Great White Brotherhood. These masters, including the revered figure of Jesus, have been the spiritual governors of Earth for centuries, guiding it with conscious direction. Having once lived on Earth themselves, they ascended to higher planes through their experiences, serving as a model for all human beings, regardless of their station in life. Today, these masters no longer take on physical form due to the laws of evolution, yet they continue to serve and guide from above with unwavering love. Saint Germain conveyed these teachings through Conny Méndez, a woman born with the special mission of spreading this wisdom, a task she fulfilled flawlessly until her passing on November 26, 1979, in Miami. Her legacy endures in Venezuela, where her work has had a profound impact, and her writings have been disseminated globally. Conny was not only a teacher, but also a composer, writer, artist, and a beacon of light who dedicated her life to making these spiritual truths accessible to all. Conny's approach was to demystify occult knowledge, expressing these truths in simple terms that anyone could understand and apply in daily life. She founded the Saint Germain Brotherhood spiritually in 1945 in Caracas, a legacy that continues to thrive, preparing the planet for the significant changes ahead and uplifting as many people as possible. This new phase of growth and expansion has already borne remarkable fruit, with teachings offered freely through talks, bulletins, books, and songs. The instructors work selflessly, with no desire for profit, and the teachings are shared without the need for rituals, ceremonies, or any formal obligations. Participation is voluntary, driven solely by the individual's inner calling. The Saint Germain Brotherhood honors all levels of consciousness and refrains from engaging in conflicts or disputes, especially on matters of spirituality. Students are regarded as disciples of the light, entirely separate from practices like spiritism, witchcraft, or black magic. The Brotherhood is not a religion, rather, it is a spiritual community based in Caracas, where students of metaphysics elevate their consciousness, improve their lives, and free themselves from past burdens, primarily through the consistent application of the law of mentalism, which teaches that everything originates and is created in the mind. The teachings of the Brotherhood are practical yet profound, focusing on individual transformation as the key to broader change. Becoming a member requires no formalities, no registrations, fees, or identification cards, only a genuine interest in the teachings and regular attendance at the freely offered lectures. The only true commitment is to your inner divine self, which has guided you to this level of truth and understanding, shaping your willpower to ensure that you do not retreat or abandon your spiritual path. It is crucial to approach this journey with dedication. While there are no strict commitments, certain practices are encouraged: attending classes punctually, regularly applying the teachings in daily life, and remaining vigilant against distractions. Neglect can disrupt your progress, as absences create gaps in understanding and hinder growth. The teachings are gradual, and continuous effort is required to achieve real progress. Interference is a common challenge for students of the light, as negative forces often try to divert their focus away from the spiritual path. Recognizing these disruptions and choosing the light over external appearances is essential. Whenever you feel swayed by external distractions, remind yourself to prioritize the light. Attend your classes, practice the teachings, and you will find that external difficulties gradually diminish and disappear. You are the master of your world, and by holding fast to the light, you can overcome any challenge that comes your way. Lesson 3. The keys to creating your best life. Mastering the art of living is an essential skill, yet so many people struggle to find peace and happiness in their daily lives. Everywhere you look, on the streets, in offices, on public transportation, there are faces marked by tension, worry, and fear. Few are the faces that radiate joy, contentment, or hope. This widespread unhappiness stems from a failure to learn how to live properly and how to overcome challenges without being consumed by them. Instead, many focus on negativity, magnifying their problems and allowing them to dominate their lives. The art of living isn't something taught in schools or universities. While painful experiences can be valuable teachers, without the light of understanding and the right approach to life, energy and potential are often wasted. This misuse of life's powers, particularly thought, emotion, and speech, leads people into bitterness, suffering, and avoidable problems. The world we inhabit has long been a place of learning through hardship, where souls come to repay their debts to life and grow through experience. Earth is a classroom within the cosmos, a school where essential lessons for personal evolution are taught. Until now, this has been a world marked by karma and suffering, but with the dawn of the age of Aquarius, the light has begun to shine more brightly. This new era offers infinite opportunities for individuals to rise above misery and reach higher levels of consciousness. The current influx of light to the planet is unprecedented, signaling the end of an old cycle and the beginning of a new one. Earth must now ascend to a higher level, along with all its inhabitants. We are part of a solar family, and the time for our collective graduation has come, even though we have lagged behind for millennia. In learning the art of living, we begin to understand the correct use of the powers bestowed upon us: thought, feeling, and speech, among others. These faculties are given to us by the Creator, not as physical likenesses, but as spiritual powers that must be developed through our own efforts. Just as a seed contains within it the potential for a full-grown plant, so too does each human being possess the potential for greatness, which must be cultivated over time with knowledge, experience, and persistence. One of the greatest powers given to humanity is the power of speech, a creative force that, when combined with thought and emotion, shapes our reality. The words we speak have the power to construct our lives, whether for good or ill. Misusing this power leads to conflict, suffering, and unhappiness. Yet we are not victims of circumstance. We are the creators of our own lives. The challenge lies in realizing this power and using it wisely, rather than becoming enslaved by external influences. In order to effectively harness the power of speech, one must always talk positively and refrain from using hurtful or destructive language that could hurt oneself or other people. Words have the ability to accomplish both good and evil things, making them strong like a two-edged blade. The words we choose to say have a profound impact on our lives, so it's critical that we make deliberate use of this ability to communicate positively and constructively to those around us. The mind's capacity is equally important. Everything is thought, and we become what we believe, according to the law of mentalism. Since our thoughts create our reality, it is essential to master them. We must make sure that the output of the mind is constructive and positive, just as it is a factory that consistently generates real results. The implications of our ideas materialize even if we are unaware of this power's existence. To succeed and find fulfillment in life, one must so master the mind and all of its power. The secret to mastering the art of living is to develop mental and verbal control and to steer them toward constructive goals. By doing this, we can change the course of our lives, get over obstacles, and manifest our greatest potential. Lesson 4. How thought and emotion shape your reality. Thought and emotion are two powerful tools that form the foundation of creative power. Everything in the world originates from the combination of thought and emotion. Thought carries the mental blueprint or image projected by the mind, and when a thought is strong, the atoms that form material substances gather around this image. Finally, the force of emotion breathes life into the idea, transforming it into a tangible reality. Nothing in the visible world exists that wasn't first conceived and felt before being realized externally. It is crucial to control emotions and keep them in harmony. Otherwise, uncontrolled energy can flow through them, causing chaos and destruction to both oneself and others. Negative emotions like anger, revenge, hatred, envy, selfishness, and resentment must be avoided, as they disrupt not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. Every negative emotion generates distress and destruction, leading to separation where love should be. Emotion plays a significant role in manifestation, carrying the greatest potential energy to bring things, good or bad, into reality. Thoughts materialize ideas because they are a dynamic energy capable of bringing things and conditions into existence. Your work, love life, marriage, success or failure in business, physical appearance, health, and economic and social circumstances, all of these have passed through your mind before becoming reality. They have been conceived, accepted, and believed, either in this life or in a previous one. If you don't believe in something or accept it, it can never manifest in your personal world. As you think, so you will be, and so you will live. Your concepts and beliefs about yourself and others have created everything you are and experience. Understanding that you hold this power and knowing how to use it constructively is essential. From this moment, you can begin to build a better life, achieving success and triumph through the proper use of mental power. Thoughts are the cause of everything that exists, and the conditions we experience are the effects or tangible realities in our physical lives. Tomorrow, we will become what we think and believe today. Each person creates their own world through their mind and emotions. The creative mental power is like a bow and arrow, aimed directly at its target. The mind is the bow, thought is the arrow, and emotion is the force that propels the arrow toward its target, leading to materialization and manifestation. When we think, a magnetic current emanates from us, similar to a beam of light that can influence others powerfully and reach great distances without limits. The thoughts of others can have a strong impact, especially when projected with great force, capable of overcoming any resistance from the receiving mind. This applies to convincing others, but if forced, It brings karmic consequences for violating free will. Thoughts are our creations, fulfilling the purpose for which they were made. Positive and negative thoughts differ in their energy and tone. Positive thoughts are light and clear, while negative thoughts are dark and dense, spreading from mind to mind, increasing in power, and creating monstrous entities like hatred, war, materialism, and revenge. People who habitually think negatively emit unpleasant vibrations, inspiring fear and distrust, and attracting similar negative energies. Conversely, positive thoughts create an aura of peace and harmony, making a person pleasant to be around and attracting what they desire. Both positive and negative thoughts return to their creator, amplified by the similar energy they encountered along the way, reinforcing the importance of thinking and speaking positively. Mental and emotional self-control is urgently needed in today's world to prevent further destruction and imbalance. Individuals must make an effort to rise above negative habits and elevate themselves to higher levels of consciousness. This can only be achieved through conscious self-control of thoughts and emotions, disciplining the ego, the outer consciousness. No one can eliminate limitation, misery, or discord from their life until they master their thoughts and emotions. This discipline requires continuous effort because the majority of human thoughts run uncontrolled, yet the rewards are worth every effort as they lead to a positive transformation of life. Human limitations and scarcity, such as financial lack or health issues, often stem from deeply ingrained negative habits of thinking and feeling, which have persisted for a long time. Without harmony and peace in one's emotions, nothing good can be produced in life. To harmonize emotions, one must remain calm, which can be challenging given the impulsive nature of human temperament. Emotional control means controlling energy, releasing it only for constructive, good, and joyful purposes. Self-correction of human weaknesses, vices, and passions is essential for spiritual advancement. Only through mastering the external self, the personality, can one achieve well-being in daily life. The outer self, or personality, must learn to obey the guidance of the higher self, the divine presence within. By the law of free will, you decide who rules your life. The lower self, driven by ego and personality, or the higher self, guided by divine wisdom. Lesson 5. Mastering emotional and mental control. Emotional self-correction is challenging because the turbulence of the senses often stirs intense reactions that make divine energy difficult to manage. Each person on earth has the freedom to choose between the light or the temptations of the material world, with its alluring pleasures and illusions. The easier path is to indulge in passions, as it requires no conscious effort or self-discipline. Yet, it is urgently necessary to correct all habits of thinking, feeling, and speaking. Self-control is the foundation of well-being and success. You must not allow your attention to be drawn to disturbing external influences. Instead, remain vigilant and refuse to accept negativity. In everything you do, energy is released, waiting for its expression like a forceful avalanche. If not controlled, it can cause significant problems and conflicts. This is particularly true of emotions. If they are not mastered, they can lead to destruction. Feelings of irritation, discord, selfishness, anger, hatred, and vengeance are deeply disruptive. Avoid conflicts and arguments, and do not give in to external provocations. You must remain at peace. Mental control is just as important as emotional control. Do not accept thoughts of discord, hatred, fear, or anything else that is negative or harmful. Instead, open your mind to new, positive, and happy thoughts. As you expand your mental landscape, you will overcome your limitations and problems, and your life will improve because everything begins in the mind. First comes knowledge, then acceptance of truth, followed by practical application. Greater knowledge leads to greater awareness and personal growth. Practicing mental control this week, reject all negative suggestions from others. Avoid arguments and disagreements, and stay out of controversies. If you hear something that disturbs you, silently decree, "This is not right, I'm not interested, I don't accept it, I reject it, I dissolve it, and I consume it by the power of the light." Another decree you can use is, Only the perfection of God flows through me. I allow only correct, good, harmonious, and constructive thoughts and words. I reject everything that is lower and disruptive. From today, I open my mind to new thoughts. This decree focuses on retraining the mind, which is often habitually fixated on negativity and what is not beneficial. It is necessary to discipline the mind to change its polarity, directing attention only to what is good, right, and pleasing. Dwelling on and discussing negativity is not beneficial, as it draws such negativity into your life. Emotional control is equally vital. You can decree, I remain calm and joyful no matter what happens. I live in peace, and I am at peace. I control my emotions. To practice mental and emotional self-control, the first step is to quiet your mind, emotions, and body. This process is commonly referred to as relaxation. Initially, this isn't easy, as thoughts and feelings often run wild, and the body may exhibit tension in areas like the forehead, shoulders, jaw, and thighs. We don't recommend the traditional method of relaxation that involves focusing meticulously on each part of the body from head to toe, as it's time-consuming and unnecessary. Instead, sit in a comfortable position with your back straight. It's best not to lean back or lie down, as you might fall asleep, and this is the correct position to harness the additional energy that flows through the crown chakra. Before sitting, choose a comfortable, clean, and pleasant place with sufficient light. It's not advisable to sit in the dark to concentrate better, as it's not beneficial. The space should be well ventilated, with light-colored walls if possible. Visualize and feel your body enveloped in radiant white light, and decree, I am the light of God that protects me from all that is not perfect. Take several deep, rhythmic breaths, 3, 6, 9, or however many you desire. Remember, you're not just breathing in oxygen, you're also taking in the powerful force known as divine breath, the holy breath that gives life and is contained in the air. Remain silent, observe, and give commands to your body. Be still, be silent. Observe your body and notice any areas of tension, then command your tense muscles to relax. I am peace and balance within myself. My entire physical body is at peace, relaxed, rested, and in perfect harmony. Practice silence, for within the silence of your inner self lies the truth. Before sitting, choose a comfortable, clean, and pleasant place with sufficient light. It's not advisable to sit in the dark to concentrate better, as it's not beneficial. The space should be well ventilated, with light-colored walls if possible. Visualize and feel your body enveloped in radiant white light and decree, I am the light of God that protects me from all that is not perfect. Take several deep rhythmic breaths, 3, 6, 9, or however many you desire. Remember, you're not just breathing in oxygen, you're also taking in the powerful force known as divine breath, the holy breath that gives life and is contained in the air. Remain silent, observe, and give commands to your body. Be still, be silent. Observe your body and notice any areas of tension, then command your tense muscles to relax. I am peace and balance within myself. My entire physical body is at peace, relaxed, rested, and in perfect harmony. Practice silence, for within the silence of your inner self lies the truth. After relaxing, try to clear your mind for a brief period. This will be challenging because problems and worries will flood your mind, refusing to obey. Everything requires technique and perseverance. As a point of focus, concentrate on your heart, feel its rhythm, and remember that the heart is a temple not made by hands, where God resides. This exercise may take about 20 minutes a day. It's good to start with 5 or 10 minutes and gradually extend the time as much as you like. Practicing this exercise twice a day will yield better results. If you feel warmth during the practice, do not be concerned, as this is the release of energy mentioned earlier. Do not expect phenomena or listen for voices or strange sounds. You are simply practicing silence and turning your focus inward, where God resides. Lesson 6. Letting go of the past and future for true happiness. Many of life's problems and anxieties stem from uncontrolled thoughts. When we dwell on unpleasant memories from the past or worry about an uncertain future, we lose the ability to enjoy the present moment and miss out on opportunities. This mental habit of living outside the present, the now that is constantly unfolding, robs us of the richness of life. The only reality we have is today, the eternal present, which forms an unbroken chain of moments, each linking to the next. The right way to live is to embrace today, to fully experience the good that life offers in the present moment. Today is our greatest treasure, holding the tools to shape the future. How we live today determines whether we succeed or fail tomorrow. The past is gone, dead, and irrelevant, and the future doesn't yet exist. Therefore, it is pointless to dwell on what has already passed. In whatever you do, focus your thoughts on the present task and do it to the best of your ability. Worrying about tomorrow or reliving yesterday is a waste of time. The harmful habit of reliving the past is particularly detrimental. As humans, we exist in the present and nothing else matters. Remembering past events, whether joyful or painful, is not beneficial. Recalling happy times can bring feelings of nostalgia and longing, while reliving misfortunes revives the pain and suffering associated with them. Where you place your attention, energy flows, and whatever you focus on will grow in power. By repeatedly revisiting unpleasant memories, you give them strength, allowing them to disrupt your current life. Discipline your mind and emotions to break the habit of dwelling on the past. Instead, invoke the power of forgiveness and the cleansing energy of light to dissolve and release all undesirable memories and experiences. Painful memories serve no purpose. Giving too much importance to personal problems and hardships is a form of pride and selfishness. Complaining and dwelling on a painful past attract negative energies that can cause further harm. After indulging in these conversations, people often feel drained and burdened, creating a toxic environment that fosters negativity. The habit of complaining is particularly harmful. It creates a negative atmosphere and leads to what people often call bad luck. Those who frequently lament and blame others for their misfortunes rarely find happiness. They continuously attract negative forces and unfortunate circumstances, often falling ill as a result. This happens because words carry the seed of resentment, and a resentful person is never truly happy. It is essential to free yourself from past memories by ignoring them and refusing to give them attention. Blaming others, whether it be life, governments, or politics, is futile and only breeds more resentment. Complaints and laments about how hard life is, how difficult it has been to succeed, or the irresponsibility of others lead only to personal failure. Another harmful habit is dramatizing situations. Those who exaggerate negative events always focus on the bad, amplifying it to the point of distressing everyone around them. Dramatizers are often pessimistic, fearful, and live in a state of torment. They are a burden to others and are generally avoided because of their negativity. Dramatizers create serious problems in social, family, and work environments. The tendency to generalize, another form of dramatization, is a widespread habit where isolated incidents are blown out of proportion and treated as universal truths. This is evident in common sayings like, "All men are untrustworthy," or "There's never enough money." Dramatizers are often sad, insecure, and lonely, weighed down by the heavy energy of accumulated sadness. Do not torment yourself with thoughts of the future, as this only creates unhappiness and causes you to miss out on the joys of life. The root of this mental attitude is fear and personal insecurity, a lack of spiritual fulfillment that comes from not recognizing the divine presence within us. Without invoking this inner power, we are left with nothing but limitations, suffering, and discomfort. Many people live in fear of the future, worrying about everything from their own mortality to financial security, hoarding resources out of a sense of scarcity. The path to true peace and happiness lies in letting go of the past, embracing the present, and trusting in the divine power within you. Lesson 7. From Suffering to Spiritual Triumph. We are not meant to be mere playthings of fate, tossed around by life's circumstances. Our destiny is not to suffer or endure pain for its own sake. Life is a school for most, teaching us through the lessons of experience, and for the spiritually curious it becomes a university where we seek deeper understanding and wisdom. One truth is certain: We are all here to learn in this cosmic classroom that is Earth. Nothing that happens to us is by chance. There is no such thing as luck, only cause and effect. As we learn and grow each day, we elevate our consciousness, gaining the ability to see beyond the limitations we've imposed on ourselves. Through difficult experiences, we gradually awaken spiritually, shedding the state of unconscious existence. It is not true that we must resign ourselves to pain and suffering, as some religions or misguided beliefs would have us think. God's desire is for us to be happy, healthy, and full of joy, to thrive and live with contentment. The negativity and sorrow in life are products of human ignorance and error. Ignorance leads to the greatest calamities, and without wisdom one feels forced to accept misfortune. But this is not God's will. Wherever you are now, whatever your circumstances, rise up and look toward the heights. That is your destiny, the one God has given you, to reach for the stars. The present moment is where all begins and where all is possible, for time is eternal and limitless. We are not born to suffer. Everything can be improved, regenerated and transformed, just as the body heals and regenerates under medical care. Every human being has an immense capacity for regeneration at any time or place in life, as long as they desire, intend, and strive for it. This is because God resides within your heart, as divine presence and energy, the greatest power in the universe, capable of achieving anything. Know the truth, and it will set you free. Work with this truth, make it your own, lift your will and raise your eyes. You will no longer be defeated or dormant, for within you resides the I Am that has existed for millennia, the name of God, the reason behind all challenges. While we live in this world, we will encounter problems and obstacles because we are on the path to perfection, which is our glorious destiny. Until we align ourselves with the divine plan of perfection that governs the cosmos, suffering will result. No one can align with the divine plan or rise above the lower aspects of life without sufficient wisdom and knowledge of eternal truths, which are the driving force toward the perfection that everyone is entitled to. Thus, as a well-known spiritual principle states, know the truth, and it will set you free. Free from what? From all discomfort, difficulty, and problem. Problems are valuable tools for our perfection, for it is through personal effort that we sculpt our own image and shape our destiny, for better or worse. Nothing happens by accident or as a punishment from God. This is a lie. Everything occurs either to be regenerated if it is negative, or to be strengthened and celebrated if it is positive, and mainly to be overcome through wisdom and experience. Nothing grows without effort, not even plants, which are living beings striving for perfection. Nothing is given to us without effort. Everything must be personally earned through our own hard work, supported by the divine presence within us. We have the freedom to choose, as there is a sacred law respected throughout the cosmos called free will. This law allows us to choose our desires and actions. It does not prevent us from choosing the wrong path, nor does it grant wisdom automatically. It merely offers the freedom to go where we wish, even if it means falling into pitfalls. We are free to make our lives what we want, for better or worse. This is our sovereign right, and nothing can take it from us. Free will gives us the power to live according to our desires and to choose from the circumstances we encounter. But we must be careful and alert, using our vital energy wisely and responsibly. We will be held accountable for our choices before the karmic tribunal of life. It is crucial to guard our thoughts, feelings, and words because, as we already know, what we think, feel, and speak will shape what we have, possess, and enjoy. We are not toys of fate. Each of us has the freedom to create our own conditions in life. We are captains of our own ships, not helpless vessels driven aimlessly by a blind force. However, out of ignorance, we often create our destiny recklessly and irresponsibly, scattering our lives with misfortunes and calamities, unaware that we hold the tools of creation in our own hands. We create severe karma that we must repay in future lives, but there is always time to correct our mistakes and make things right within the eternity of life, where everything can be healed. No one is a drop of water pushed by the waves without direction or purpose. That drop of water is part of the vast ocean, and holds within it the living powers of the Divine Father. You are not a leaf drifting in the wind. The power is within you. Use it, but do so consciously, in a good and constructive way. The misuse of power brings disaster, while its proper use brings goodness and joy. Lesson 8. Understanding the body as the instrument of the Spirit. The Spirit, that divine and immortal essence, seeks to express itself in the physical realm with the purpose of evolving and gaining experience. For this reason, it needs a body, the perfect instrument to fulfill its purposes. This body made of flesh is dense and has limited awareness of the higher spiritual dimensions, yet it is wonderfully equipped with everything necessary for this world: a head for thinking, hands for doing, feet for walking, eyes for seeing, and a heart for feeling. Nothing is missing in this remarkable machine, driven by the divine energy that is life itself. Well-tuned and resilient, it withstands the challenges of existence with strength and power. Like any tool or machine, the body requires care, nourishment, and cleanliness. Mistreatment, excess, and neglect lead to its deterioration, ultimately resulting in what we call death. Overindulgence weakens the body, filling it with undesirable habits. It is essential to use this instrument wisely, for we will be held accountable for how we treat it when we face the karmic tribunal. The body must be refined, educated, and improved to function effectively and achieve the highest purposes. The physical form is like the clothing that covers and wraps the thinking being within. Just as no one walks naked in the streets, the eternal entity must be clothed to manifest properly. When this garment becomes old, dirty, and worn from misuse, it is discarded, and the supreme energy, infinite intelligence, abandons the flesh, for it is no longer useful. The entity moves on to higher dimensions to continue its existence, though those left behind on earth mistakenly believe the individual has died. This is far from the truth. It is a mistake to mourn over graves and visit cemeteries with sorrow, believing our loved ones are buried beneath the earth. What lies there is merely an old, discarded garment, slowly disintegrating. The eternal spirit has moved on. The body is like a vehicle, a means of transportation from one place to another. Just as we need to move and change our surroundings, because nothing is static, the body, with its density, cannot fly and must walk the earth, equipped with legs and feet. The supreme intelligent energy, the thinking being, uses the body to move, but this is not the only vehicle at its disposal. There are other vehicles that the spirit uses to visit different planes during sleep, meditation, and at the moment of death. Just as a traveler never stays in one country, the eternal consciousness enjoys visiting other places, near and far, with the permission of the Divine Father. While on earth, we only know and feel the physical body, the garment of flesh, but in truth, we possess 3 additional bodies: the energetic body that provides vitality, the emotional body that feels, and the mental body that thinks. In addition, there are 3 spiritual vehicles for higher purposes. In total, humans have 7 bodies, each serving a specific function. On Earth, we don't rely on a single mode of transportation. We have cars, motorcycles, bicycles, buses, airplanes, trains, helicopters, ships, and more. Similarly, in the vast cosmos, there are many ways to move and experience life. As citizens of the universe, we are not denied any opportunity as long as we earn and deserve it. The body is like a house, a dwelling for the being that inhabits and uses it. Like any house, it can be well maintained or neglected, leading to either preservation or decay. Sick and imperfect bodies are like old, neglected houses that gradually fall apart, while healthy bodies radiating vitality are like clean, orderly homes where inhabitants live happily, fulfilling divine laws. The body is like a child that needs education, discipline, praise, attention, and love. Nothing is more obedient or disciplined than the physical body, depending on how it is treated. The indulgences it is allowed, the bad habits it is taught, and the errors and abuses it suffers shape its behavior. A bad habit results from a wrong imposition or excessive indulgence. Initially, the body resists, for within it lies the wisdom of what is right. But if the individual persists, the body eventually submits, adopting the behavior as routine and difficult to break. Understand that the physical body is the most obedient of all, and most subject to human will, whether for good or ill. As the temple of the living God, the body should be respected, revered, and cared for. It should be kept clean and maintained in the best condition. It is wrong to degrade the body with indignities, just as one should not enter a temple with a dirty mind or evil intentions. One should not debase the body with low passions, quarrels, or discord, for this is like filling one's home with garbage or inviting undesirable guests into it. Do not overwork your body or exhaust it beyond its limits. Do not cause it to fall ill, for this creates karmic debts that will need to be paid in future lives. For example, those who neglect their bodies, weakening them with poor practices and inadequate nourishment, will face illness in the next life. Excessive exercise that exhausts the body does not align with divine laws. Engage in physical activities moderately, without overextending your energy. It is essential to care for your body properly and use it wisely, for it is the vessel through which the divine spirit expresses itself in this world. Lesson 9. The Art of Spiritual Transmutation. Transmutation is the process of changing from one state to another, from the old and flawed to the refreshed and refined. To give a few examples, consider the following. Beauty is the transmutation of ugliness. Money is the transmutation of poverty, and health is the transmutation of illness. Anything bad can be transformed into something good. This procedure turns into a kind of divine alchemy, a potent cleansing that puts life back in balance and releases it from the flaws and disruptions that the human mind, both individually and collectively, causes. It is necessary to transform all of the previous mistakes that gave rise to the issues and conflicts of the present. Transmutation is the process of dissolving imperfection. The violet consuming flame is especially useful in this regard. The Ascended Master Saint Germain has given this potent, dissolving energy to earth from the realms of light in order to free our world from suffering and sadness. We are able to use this energy for our own growth and well-being. To survive and be in harmony with the great cosmic rule of perfection, humanity must undergo both individual and societal purification. The laws of cause and effect, or karma, ultimately destroy anything that consistently strays from this cosmic law, because it is incompatible with the divine design of perfection that underlies the universe. As the new era's avatar, Saint Germain is in charge of determining Earth's fate during the next 2 millennia. That's the reason he summoned the potent violet flame, which is simple to call upon and yields amazing effects. It burns away negativity and consumes all that is not pure and perfect. It also destroys errors, restrictions, and conflict. Nobody can be freed from the never-ending cycle of rebirth or achieve emancipation on this planet without the violet flame. Though some people have the gift of seeing, the violet flame is invisible to the physical senses and functions like lightning from the fourth dimension. Today's world is elevated and filled with optimism thanks to transmutation. It transforms whatever it comes into contact with instantly, much like fire. A decree of transmutation can be spoken as follows. In the name of God, I invoke the mighty violet flame, purifier and transformer. I surround myself with its radiant energy, allowing its great power to transmute my life into good and perfection. I invoke the law of forgiveness for all errors I have committed in the past and present. I give thanks. Blessings are powerful too. When you bless something, you increase and manifest what you desire or need. Just as Jesus blessed 5 loaves and fed 5,000 people because of his immense awareness of goodness, so too can you bless anything you wish to see grow. Bless the good in every situation and watch it manifest. Blessing means speaking well, thinking positively, and bringing good into existence. Everything that is blessed grows, increases, and multiplies. If something is wrong, blessing it helps to set it right. Blessings generate high-frequency energy, while curses produce dark, destructive energy. We must give thanks and bless everything we have, for this causes it to increase and bring greater benefits to us. Blessing money brings more money and greater material well-being. Blessing your family brings harmony and happiness. Every situation contains both positive and negative elements. By blessing the good, you amplify the positive and bring it into manifestation. Blessing does not mean focusing on the person, but on their divine essence. Do not bless sickness, but the health within the person. Do not bless dishonesty, but the divine truth and honesty within the individual. Affirmations can be used in any problem or difficulty. I bless the good in this situation and desire to see it manifest. When receiving money, say, may divine love bless and multiply this money, so it increases in my hands and in the hands of the one who gave it to me. In any negative situation, declare, I do not accept this for myself or others. I invoke the good here, bless it, and wait for it to manifest. If something contrary to your wishes occurs, bless the situation and the hidden good within it. Know that everything happens for a reason, and what is given is for the best, while what is withheld is not meant to be. Reject the negative. Accept only the manifestation of good. Anything bad in your life must dissolve. In any confusing situation, bless the good within it, knowing that all things contain good. Lesson 10. The key to spiritual growth and harmony. The first law of creation, the law of mentalism, is so crucial that without knowing and practicing it, no one can make progress on the spiritual path. Despite sincere efforts and deep study, without the continuous application of this law, students will find themselves stagnant and unable to move forward. It's surprising how even dedicated and seemingly advanced spiritual students misuse their words and energy, especially when it comes to criticism. They may expose the flaws of a close friend, engaging in the negative habit of pointing out faults and imperfections, things that in truth are mere appearances of the lower self, not the divine reality within. Every person is perfect at their core, as their divine self is perfect. The illusion of imperfection fades away in the light of truth, and this truth liberates us from all that is troubling. When we refuse to give power to negativity and refuse to even see it, we rise above it. It's all a matter of focus. Our attention goes where we direct it, and there it lingers, producing either good or harm. Negative comments are the source of many problems because they reinforce what is wrong, worsening the situation, dividing people, and creating difficulties. Such negativity forms a dark cloud that poisons the atmosphere, which is why students who fail to practice the law of mentalism do not progress and cannot free their lives from challenges. When conversations are laced with criticism, gossip, and judgment, they cause significant harm. It's like a powerful bomb hidden away, waiting to explode unexpectedly. For this reason, cut off negative comments immediately and don't allow anyone around you to engage in them. Unity must be maintained on all levels. This is vital for anyone on a spiritual path. Whether it concerns family, friendships, work, or social life, where there is unity, goodness, and perfection manifest. But where disunity arises, separation follows, opening the door to negative forces that destroy and disturb. A family that remains united can withstand any trial, no matter how severe, and emerge victorious. Unbreakable friendships are invincible. Love is the force that unites, and the energy of love is both powerful and victorious. When someone loves another, they overlook flaws. But the moment they begin to notice imperfections and, even worse, discuss them, division soon follows. Friendships end, relationships crumble, families break apart, and people turn against each other. Therefore, if you want to preserve harmony in your family, with your friends, or with your partner, I suggest this. Imagine putting on rose-colored glasses to see only the good in everyone. Because as soon as you start focusing on the negative, you energize it, attract it, and build a wall that leads to separation. And once that wall is up, the forces of discord can easily enter and cause trouble. We all have flaws, but these are not the truth. These disturbances are mere appearances that vanish in the light of truth, which sets us free from problems and brings harmony and happiness. The moment you start seeing faults in others, problems will begin to arise in your life and theirs. This is the natural result of the law of cause and effect. By focusing on the negative, you unconsciously allow yourself to be drawn into it. When you notice someone's faults and then discuss them with others, you're not helping. You're actually making it harder for that person to overcome their challenges by sending them negative energy, which only strengthens the problem. Always look for the good and perfection in everything. This is a key spiritual principle that yields remarkable results. It calms the mind and lightens life. Those who focus on the good, regardless of what the eyes may see, are sowing seeds for a positive future. However, you must stay vigilant because our eyes are often drawn to what is wrong, to what doesn't harmonize, a deeply ingrained habit. As Conny Méndez says, look for the good and it will be given to you, because you attract what you focus on. But if you fixate on the negative, you'll draw that into your life as well, and it will stick to you, growing even larger. Attention is like a magnifying glass. When you focus it on something, it intensifies whatever is there, just as a magnifying glass can concentrate sunlight on dry grass and start a fire. Everything appears larger under a magnifying glass, and the same happens when you focus on the flaws and negatives. They grow and become more problematic. Control the power of your attention and never let it wander aimlessly. Remember, attention is a great power, and you must always use it wisely. It's never too late to correct your course. As Jesus said, do not be disheartened by apparent setbacks, and do not allow negative energies to attack you. Stand firm, ever vigilant. Remember that when you align with truth, everything is transmuted and you emerge renewed. And when mistakes happen, they can always be rectified and corrected. Lesson 11. Transmuting resentment for spiritual growth. Resentment is a deeply unfortunate state, harming the person who harbors it more than anyone else. According to the law of return, everything we project outward from within eventually comes back to us, magnified, feeding on similar thoughts and returning to the mind and body, poisoning the very temple of our being. No one who harbors resentment against another person, situation, or place can live in peace. It saps joy, drains enthusiasm for life, and often manifests in unexpected physical ailments that are difficult to control. Resentment sours life, ages it prematurely, and breeds illness. Inside, it festers like a wasp's nest, ready to burst forth in unpleasant ways. All resentment must be transmuted, whether it's directed at people, circumstances, or things. Without this purification, no one can make spiritual progress. Resentment is paralyzing, keeping us stuck, because it's a lesser form of hatred, devoid of love, filled with judgment and condemnation. Those who judge others harshly lack understanding, tolerance, and love. Like a wasp's nest that can invade and attack, resentment must be rooted out completely, which can only be achieved through thorough transmutation. Some individuals may achieve material success while harboring resentment, but inside, they are bitter and unfulfilled, their spiritual life stunted. Just as a room filled with black smoke becomes dark and oppressive, so too does a person's spirit when resentment is allowed to fester. Metaphysical practitioners know that to progress, they must look within, take responsibility, and decisively uproot any trace of resentment. We must cleanse the mind, heart, and body of these toxic emotions. We cannot advance on the path of light if we do not rid ourselves of the resentments that dwell within. This requires firm, determined, and persistent effort until the root cause, core, record, and memory of such conditions are eradicated. Anyone who seeks to improve their life must eliminate all resentment from their heart and transmute any hidden grudges with the violet flame. Otherwise, even if they achieve material wealth, their life will become a disaster. It is crucial to understand and to forgive ourselves and everything that requires our forgiveness. There are vast clouds of resentment in the atmosphere, accumulated from human thoughts and emotions, spreading from mind to mind. But those who understand the laws of metaphysics and are well-trained have nothing to fear. As long as they maintain peace in their hearts, keep their minds clear, and avoid resonating with lower vibrations, they will always be safe. Many people blame life for their unhappiness and lack of luck. Some believe that the city or country they live in is to blame for their mediocrity or inability to progress. Others blame their jobs, bosses, or colleagues for their troubles, even going so far as to hold objects or material possessions responsible for their personal misfortunes. This mindset is a grave mistake. It solves nothing and only worsens the situation. It's essential to recognize that each individual is solely responsible for their own problems and difficulties, rooted in their errors, misconceptions, and misguided beliefs. People who harbor such resentment are unlikely to prosper, as their hearts are poisoned by the very feelings that hold them back. Every individual should be grateful for the many opportunities and blessings life offers. Blaming life for one's struggles and viewing it as a karmic burden will never lead to happiness. Life must be continually blessed, for it is a precious gift and is never the cause of anyone's misery or misfortune. Just as nature purifies itself, so too do the negative creations of human minds, such as resentment, return to their source. These energies, once released, go into the atmosphere, but nature, charged with imperfection, sends them back in a natural purification process. This is the cause of natural disasters, like earthquakes, cyclones, and volcanic eruptions, which are nature's way of cleansing and returning impurities to their origin. Just as we bathe or clean our homes to rid ourselves of dirt, nature cleanses itself of the contamination caused by discordant human thoughts and feelings, restoring its divine purity. In the same way, resentment harms only the person who feels it, not the one it is directed at. It is never wise to keep any form of resentment in the heart. Lesson 12. The true nature of love. If you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it's yours. If it doesn't, it was never meant to be. What is love? Love is undoubtedly a sublime feeling, an emotion that arises from within and moves us to give selflessly. In a metaphysical sense, it is also a pure, selfless energy that drives us to offer, serve, and seek the happiness of others without expecting anything in return. Love spans many aspects and is not limited to romantic relationships, which is often the common understanding of the term. What we often consider as love in this world is merely the outermost layer, the surface of a much deeper and more profound principle that every human being must strive to fully embody. Love extends beyond familial ties, marriage, friendship, or passionate devotion to knowledge, art, or science. True love encompasses a broader and fuller spectrum, including love for life in all its forms, animate and inanimate. Once this love is fully realized, there is no longer a reason to remain in the physical realm or to reincarnate here, for one has then achieved ascension to higher levels of existence. True love must be free from selfishness, possessiveness, legal entanglements, and the chains that bind and enslave egotistical passions. In the give and take of relationships, there is often more self-interest than genuine love. When love is tainted by selfish desires and possessiveness, it loses its sublimity. Possessive love destroys its own roots because love is freedom. It is a generous and liberating force that cannot thrive in the oppression of possessiveness. Those who try to possess others, believing them to be their property, may say they love them, but in reality, they haven't yet learned what love truly is. Beneath their actions lies a disguised selfishness, which is why they impose conditions and cause others to suffer. They often claim, "I do this for your own good," or "it's the best for you," but in truth, it's only for their own benefit. If you want to destroy something, try to control and monopolize it, and you will see how it gradually withers away like a candle burning out in silence. Consider the example of a rose. If you cut a rose and hold it in the palm of your hand, then close your fingers to trap it, you inevitably destroy it. Its thorns will prick your hand, just as possessiveness generates rebellion in those being controlled, a rebellion that may erupt violently at any moment. Those who live under the control of others are often sad, unhappy, and bitter. Even if they have resigned themselves to their situation, they are like prisoners in a cage, ready to escape at the first opportunity, leaving their oppressors behind. Their submission is forced, and this fate awaits jealous spouses, overbearing parents, and possessive friends. Eventually, when the capacity to endure, the fearful respect, or the limit of tolerance runs out, they will be abandoned. Every violation of the law of love leads to suffering. That's why we say, if you love someone, whether it's your child, partner, or friend, let them be free. Only in freedom can love truly live and grow, unburdened by the chains of selfishness. Don't impose your will on others, don't dictate their actions or behavior, and don't restrict them beyond reasonable limits. Care for and protect your love, but don't control it with a heavy hand if you don't want to lose it. To preserve your love, you must respect the will and nature of others, their preferences and ideals. Don't look down on anyone, thinking yourself better, for no one is perfect, and freedom is a gift from God. We are all born with the sacred right to think, be and act according to our free will, and no one has the right to violate this divine law. We must understand that love without freedom isn't love at all. Allow others to grow and live as is their right. Jealousy is a subtler form of selfishness and a kind of hell because it brings immense suffering, being devoid of love. Jealousy stems from fear combined with selfishness, doubt, and insecurity, and it is always accompanied by suspicion and discord. Jealous people believe they love deeply, but they don't even know what love is. Jealousy poisons the atmosphere, making it unbearable. Those who are jealous torment and chain their loved ones until it becomes unbearable. In the end, they deserve to be left alone to learn true love through harsh experiences. A metaphysical practitioner can do much to help those trapped in this unhappy condition by applying the appropriate treatments and bringing light into the darkness. Letting go and allowing freedom. This is the key. When you release something and clear it from your mind without selfishness or indifference, you give it the freedom to breathe and live in its own way, and miracles can happen. For example, if a young woman constantly demands attention from her boyfriend, telling him how beautiful she is, he will feel suffocated and unhappy, and eventually he will leave and never return. In such cases, we say, don't torment yourself over his lack of love, because if he returns to you, he's yours, and if he doesn't, he never was. No one can take a boyfriend or partner away from someone else. There are deeper reasons at play, unseen at the surface. First, one of the two in the relationship permits it. Second, the one who left was just passing through and wasn't meant to stay in your life. Everyone follows their own path, and there are just laws governing this, even if it seems otherwise. Love extends to all creation. It is not a limited, exclusive emotion. It's a mistake to think that love is only the passionate infatuation between a couple. You can love many things: life, money, work, art, music, power, your country, a cat, a dog, a friend. What people often call love between couples is a mix of physical attraction and possessive passion, and it won't last if it's focused solely on physical beauty. What endures is the union of souls, not bodies. All of creation deserves love and respect, animals, plants, humans, without distinction of race or color. Reverence for life is a sacred law. The color of love is pink, and it radiates from the heart, where its strength and power originate. Lesson 13. Breaking free from fear. Fear is the biggest threat to humanity. You'll enjoy greater health and harmony the less dread you carry. On the other hand, more bad things will come your way if you let more fear into your life. Overcoming fear is the most crucial thing humanity needs to do. You can no longer be affected by a circumstance when you are fearless, but it's crucial to keep in mind that dread frequently exists subconsciously, unseen to us. The happiness and calm you experience in a given circumstance are the best indicators that you have conquered fear in that particular circumstance. It's important to keep in mind that fear is a fake. You may observe how rapidly it crumbles if you tear it apart. An amazing thing happened in the Netherlands a long time ago. A traveling circus experienced a lion escape. A generous woman was nearby, stitching while she sat by an open window. The lion darted out of the window, sprinted past her in an instant, and dashed down the corridor into a little space beneath the stairs. The shocked woman was incensed at the muddy footprints the animal left on her shining flooring, thinking it was a donkey. Following it, she discovered it hiding in the closet, tucked in between her mop and brooms. She then struck the beast with a broomstick. The woman slapped the lion even harder, her anger growing as the shivering animal cowered deeper into the closet. 4 soldiers wearing chainmail and carrying rifles arrived at that very moment. When they caught the lion, it gently gave up, glad to be free of that dreadful woman's anger. The woman fainted and was sick for several days after discovering that she had been thrashing a lion. This tale is a wonderful example of how fear can be discouraging. When she thought the animal was a donkey, she had total control over the situation, and the lion was afraid of her since it thought she was a strong force. But even though she was secure now, the ingrained anxiety came back as she recognized what she had done wrong. This response was influenced by a deep-rooted fear culture. Everything else in your life will fall into place if you can overcome your fear by concentrating all of your energy on doing so. Realizing the presence of God within you and the steadfast, mighty love of the divine, which, when called upon, constantly shields you from harm or danger, is the first step toward conquering fear. You need to turn this understanding into a reality. Fear is driven away and neutralized by love. According to the Bible, perfect love casts out fear, but there is no fear in love. Fear makes mistakes and draws issues into your life. Fear gives things power and draws it into your reality, so when you fear something, you will see it materialize. Fear draws what it is afraid of, as the Bible states in verse John 4:18. He who fears has not been made perfect in love. This is also true according to metaphysical practitioners. Anything you dread will come upon you. If you fear being robbed, you will be robbed. This law is unbreakable, like a magnet. The best cure is to give up fear. Fear has no place in your life, therefore conquer it. Lesson 14. Letting go of regret. When faced with a decision, you must do everything in your power at that moment to fulfill your duty. If, later on, it turns out that you made a mistake, you are not to blame, because no one can do more than what they are capable of at any given time. Even the wisest person in the world can only act based on what they understand and believe they can do. Therefore, dwelling on past mistakes made in good faith is foolish. That inner remorse steals your peace and causes deep internal harm. Anyone can predict what might happen if they reflect and analyze the situation, but achieving truly wise foresight is challenging. What matters most is doing the best you can with what you know and believe at the time. Here's some advice. Do your best considering all the circumstances, and then let go of any worries. Metaphysical students, of course, always seek guidance from their divine presence before making critical decisions. They ask their inner Christ for guidance to avoid mistakes. If they follow their intuition, the outcome will be favorable. You must have unwavering faith in what you ask for or claim, because without the faith that moves mountains, nothing will manifest in your daily life. Living with the burden of regret is a heavy load that saddens, ages, and disrupts the harmony within. When someone does something wrong and causes suffering to others, it leaves a deep sense of guilt, which only grows as time passes because the situation seems irreversible. However, everything always has a solution. If you have reached this level of metaphysical understanding and know the truth about remorse, then you can dissolve it and continue evolving. In any circumstance that might lead to regret, don't allow it to take hold. Don't keep reminding yourself of what you did wrong or how you could have done better. Once something is done, it's in the past and should be forgotten. Ease your conscience by telling yourself, I did the best I could and acted according to my level of understanding at the time. I'm closing this chapter and starting anew. Lesson 15. Embracing challenges as opportunities. Success lies in overcoming difficulties. Everyone who has achieved something significant has done so by facing and surmounting obstacles. When there are no challenges to overcome, reaching your destination is easy, but that's not true success. There was a time when establishing a telegraph line from New York to Boston was fraught with difficulties, yet later it became routine. However, laying the transatlantic cable was once considered a monumental achievement because of the challenges involved. Eventually, those problems were also solved. No matter how severe personal challenges may seem, they can be overcome with calm, persistent spiritual practice and appropriate action. If you encounter an obstacle on your path to success, don't accept it as defeat. Use it as a stepping stone to your success. Take H.G. Wells, for example. Poor health forced him to quit a low-paying job, which left him at home with nothing to do but write. This turned out to be the start of his career as a world-renowned author. Thomas Edison became deaf, but saw it as a way to focus more intently on his inventions. Theodore Roosevelt, a sickly child, was advised to live a sheltered life, but instead, he built his strength and became the robust man who would later serve as President of the United States. Gilbert wrote the operetta HMS Pinafore while bedridden with agonizing pain. A famous London fashion house was founded by a woman who had never been in business and had no qualifications, only good taste in clothes and faith in prayer. She faced the challenge of supporting her husband, who was suffering from tuberculosis, and their 2 children. Today, she is wealthy and famous. She once thought, "I wish I could sell the kind of dresses I've never been able to afford." No matter what difficulty you face, make the most of it. The problem may seem insurmountable, but with spiritual treatment and brave determination, it can be overcome. Problems are signposts on the road to God. Being dynamic, what does it mean? Many aspire to be seen as dynamic, but often they don't fully understand what that means. Some think it involves being aggressive, loud, or pompous. Others believe it's about attracting attention and standing out somehow. But none of this is the truth. A dynamic person is someone who does something to change the world or who changes themselves. The scale of their work may not be grand, but the world is a little different because they lived and acted in it. That's what it means to be dynamic. Those who are dynamic always take action to change the world and the people in it. This is evident in the lives of many famous figures who altered the course of history, people like Napoleon, Washington, St. Paul, and Bolivar. Yet there are also many men and women whose contributions are less known, but who, in their own way, have made a difference. If you accomplish something, no matter how big or small, you are dynamic, and you contribute to making the world different because you were here. If you only pretend to do something, talking about it, moving from place to place, but failing to change yourself or others, then you aren't truly dynamic. You're just playing a role without conviction. A dynamic person does something new and better. Someone who makes 2 grains of wheat grow where only 1 grew before. Someone who builds a business that serves the public or creates jobs for others. Those who invent something useful, compose good music, write beautiful poetry, or paint stunning pictures are dynamic. Doctors who heal, teachers who educate, they all leave the world a little different from how they found it. Washington changed the course of history, and you can change the life of even just one person, even if it's only yourself. Some people are content with what they are and love to show off, spending their energy on appearances that matter little in reality. They adopt false attitudes and talk in vain about great things they have done or plan to do, considering themselves very dynamic. But in truth, they are far from it. The secret to being dynamic is to believe that God works through you in all things, great or small. You must offer your talents and abilities to divine service as sincerely and practically as possible to be as dynamic as you need to be. If you practice this approach even for a short time, you will be amazed by the results and you'll find yourself becoming truly dynamic. To serve well is to live in truth, and by their fruits you shall know them. Lesson 16. Awakening the Divine Within. The traditional concept of God has evolved over time. After the fall of glorious ancient civilizations like Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu, which had reached a high level of understanding of the one God, humanity fell into ignorance and backwardness for centuries. One form of this regression was idolatry, the belief in many gods represented by grotesque idols. Gradually this was overcome, but it was replaced by the still prevalent religious concept of a dictatorial, punitive God, always ready to punish sinful creatures. This God was placed in a distant place in the sky, vaguely called heaven, and was often depicted as an elderly man, kind yet arbitrary, sometimes wrathful when displeased, other times exceedingly indulgent. Religions have continued to speak of the fear of God and his wrath, instilling the belief that one must behave well out of fear of divine retribution. This idea was deeply rooted, especially in the past, and so for centuries people lived in misunderstanding, accepting the absurd notion of a wrathful God. What a paradox, to think that a perfect being, full of love and wisdom, could harbor wrath. A being who is pure love cannot punish his children, especially knowing that they are in the early stages of evolution and still have many flaws to overcome. Metaphysical beliefs make clear that spiritual laws, which put everything into harmony with divine order, rather than God himself administer punishment. Each person is able to grow from their experiences and change their conduct thanks to these laws. The idea of a judgmental God must be sown, and we cannot hold anyone responsible for this, as humanity must progress through consciousness in stages that each lead to greater comprehension. The religious texts could not be interpreted any other way by the inhabitants of the age of Pisces. The age of Aquarius is bringing more light into consciousness and bringing our conception of God closer to the truth. The world has been taught about the reality of the I Am presence, the inner God that each and every person possesses, by the adored teacher Saint Germain, an avatar of the new era and the world's spiritual guide for the following 2,000 years. We can truly know our Father and acknowledge his presence because of this amazing effect of shifting our attention from the outside to the inside. A remote God has detrimental effects on personal development, since it pulls focus away from within and impedes the process of discovering one's own inner God. This one God, known by over 70 names since ancient times, among the most well-known being Allah and Jehovah, must be understood from within. Atheists may not believe in God or anything spiritual, while others have adopted a mental and emotional concept of God in their own way. What is God to you? Do you see God as a kind old man living in the clouds, or perhaps as an impersonal force, cold and mechanical? Or do you see God as an abstract principle, a concept to be accepted religiously? Whatever your concept of God, it reflects the spiritual level you've reached and the internal understanding appropriate for you at this moment. However, evolution always pushes us to reach higher, so it is natural not to remain static but to continue seeking. Metaphysicians of the Saint Germain Brotherhood no longer believe in blind faith, but in a reasoned, logical faith that is deeply felt. We know, through direct instruction from the Ascended Masters, that God dwells within the very heart of man and must be sought there. We understand that there is an inner divinity, a personal God or divine master within, who is all love, infinite wisdom, and unlimited power. This inner God, akin to the guardian angel spoken of in religions, has watched over us for ages, throughout the eternity of time, until we have grown enough to take care of ourselves. For now, this inner presence gives us life, flowing energy through the crown of our head and anchoring it in our hearts. It grants us all the powers and faculties we possess, and as many opportunities and experiences as we need. God is love and never punishes his evolving child on earth. The concept of my God is deeply rooted in individual subconsciousness. We know instinctively that there is an individualized presence within each of us, an inner divine master we can call upon in times of need. Thus we cry out, "My God, help me." But if the concept of our God were truly ingrained, we would say, "Our God, help us." However, no one thinks to call upon our God because we instinctively know the truth. We have lived many lives, and the knowledge acquired in those lives emerges spontaneously when needed. There is indeed an our God, a powerful cosmic entity, masculine and feminine, who dwells in the great central sun. This divine intelligence governs all systems and worlds under its command. The I Am presence, the inner master or God within each human, is also our Father, and is identified with the Christ who dwells in the heart of man, united in power and glory. Just as a king delegates tasks to his prime minister to handle matters on the ground, where he cannot go due to his high status, both the king and the minister work in perfect harmony and are united in their governance. Nothing is impossible for the all-powerful heavenly presence, our personal Father. He bestows all of his qualities and powers on man because of his unending love for his incarnated offspring, yet man must work for these benefits. Perfection appears when one struggles and calls the divine presence into action. All obstacles and appearances disappear. The law of free will demands that the divine presence be called upon or activated. Every human has a unique presence, but even in the face of extreme hardship and suffering, the divine presence will not intervene if the individual does not acknowledge it or actively summon it. Ask, and you shall receive. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened, is a clear legal statement. Nobody will get anything if they don't ask or look for it. Jesus declared, "The Father within me does his works. I am powerless to do anything on my own." Given that the Father is the ultimate authority, this remark unequivocally demonstrates that man is but a tool. In order to progress spiritually, we need to learn to submit to the almighty inner force. The love of the Father meets all of our needs, keeps us safe during dangerous situations, gives us the ability to comprehend and forgive, and is the source of all intellect. One must first learn to comply with the human portion, or lower self, in order to display the model of perfection for which we were born, before one may inherit the powers of the Father and attain mastery over external conditions. Obedience to the inner God must be steadfast and sincere until the shell of the human ego is broken, and we realize that we have no power apart from the Father. Then we decide to serve our inner master, through whom we live and breathe. When and how should we obey? Whenever good, constructive impulses come to mind or heart. All that is beautiful and perfect comes from the presence. All that is destructive, conflicted, and negative comes from the lower self, the human personality that is always puffed up with vanity, and believes it knows everything and is self-sufficient. Following the impulses of the heart, not always the intellect, is also obedience. One must maintain conscious contact with the Father to gain strength, wisdom, health, and inspiration at the right moments. This can be achieved through frequent contemplation and meditation, by consciously worshipping the supreme source of life and expressing gratitude for the gifts received. Human beings are self-sufficient streams of life, constantly receiving energy from the divine presence. This energy descends and flows uninterruptedly, a ray of golden light entering through the head and anchoring in the heart. It is under man's control, although he may not be aware of it. This mighty life stream is available every second, used at all times, whether awake or asleep. Only when man misuses this energy and power, and his body temple deteriorates beyond usefulness, does the divine presence withdraw the life stream, causing the physical body to disintegrate and die. In truth, the only thing that dies in a human is the body. The energy continues to flow in the other vehicles the person possesses, and life goes on in higher planes. The creative phrase "I am" has tremendous power because it commands energy to act for good or ill, positively or negatively. Therefore, one must be very careful when speaking and thinking. The "I am" decrees are extremely powerful. After receiving energy through the crown chakra, the individual qualifies it with the mental "I am" through concepts, ideas, and words, and the energy immediately acts to fulfill the command. Whether aware of it or not, humans are creators, and the mental command is always obeyed. Therefore, be mindful of what you say and think. Don't issue commands that will lead to calamities simply by speaking them. Don't let your thoughts run unchecked because it's not in your best interest. After thinking and speaking, the energy rushes to fulfill the order. Positive decrees are a blessing, but negative ones destroy and cause suffering, conflicts, and numerous problems. When you say, "I am," you open the door to all that is beautiful and perfect. But when you say, "I am not," you close the door and shut out all hope. Man has the power to command, and this is called the power of the word. The personal or human self possesses nothing of its own. Even its physical body was given by the great master presence, the Father. It doesn't matter if the gifts of life are misused. There is only one source of all good, and that is the individualized presence. We must accept the wonderful power of the presence so that we can grow and free ourselves from all misfortune, calamity, or adversity. Recognize and accept the divine presence every morning and night. Relax, center yourself in your heart, and once you are at peace, say the following decree: I recognize, accept, and bless the fullness of the mighty, omnipotent presence of God I am, of the radiant Christ, and I call it into action today to manifest all the truth, beauty, and perfection within my divine plan. Beloved presence of God in me, I joyfully accept and receive the wonderful flowing, regenerating, and vital power that constantly arrives through my physical body to manifest perfect health. I align my feelings and keep my human self under control to receive now all the power of the light. This practice of recognizing and accepting the divine presence within aligns you with your higher self, enabling you to live in harmony with the true source of your being and manifest the fullness of your divine potential in the world. Lesson 17. The spiritual key to exam success. The right mental and emotional attitude is crucial for success. Several negative conditions can hinder a student's performance and lead to failure in exams. These conditions are often self-created, stemming from the student's acceptance of external influences, such as the words and opinions of others, which then gain power and set the stage for failure. Fear of failure. If you approach an exam with fear or dread, you've already set yourself up for failure, because fear attracts what you fear most. When facing an exam, you must be confident in your success and determined to achieve it. If a student hasn't had enough time to study everything or finish the subject matter due to personal circumstances, it's essential to let it go and trust that all is well. Call upon your divine presence, give it the command, and always expect the best with full conviction. Anxiety and insecurity. These emotions strongly influence poor exam performance. Just as fear is faith in the negative, insecurity attracts defeat. True faith isn't just about firm religious convictions, it's also about believing in yourself, being confident in your knowledge and trusting that everything will turn out well. Fear and insecurity block the mind, leaving it blank when the student is tense and worried about failing. This is why, even after extensive studying, ideas sometimes don't flow and everything seems forgotten. The student must calm down, raise their vibrations, focus on their divine presence, invoke it, and then let go. Mental and emotional peace, along with inner confidence, are indispensable. When a student blanks out during an exam and can't remember anything, something remarkable often happens afterward. Once the exam is over and the student has calmed down, their normal vibrations return, and they suddenly remember what they had forgotten or realize the mistakes they made. But by then, it's too late. Negative vibration from instructors. If the exam is written, it often carries the negative vibration of the instructor in the sense that they might prepare the exam by focusing on what they consider the most difficult for the student, areas where the student may have shown little interest. When the student approaches the exam with anxiety and fear, their vibration lowers, and when combined with the instructor's intent, the stage is set for failure. However, don't harbor negative thoughts about the instructor or judge them harshly. Don't focus on their flaws if they have any. Instead, bless the instructor and ask that perfection manifests within them. If you find them unapproachable, it's because you're projecting that sentiment. Envelop them in understanding and peace, and soon you'll have a friend and ally. Seeing the good and perfection in others will be returned to you, but focusing on the negative, discussing it, and dwelling on it will bring negativity back to you, disturbing your life and surroundings. Think of the good, and it will be given to you, says Conny Méndez. But if you look for the bad in others, it will return to you multiplied. This is the law. Success and failure depend on oneself and aren't caused by external conditions. This is a metaphysical principle. Don't blame others, your environment, or circumstances for your personal problems and difficulties, because no one but yourself is the cause of everything that happens to you on a personal, familial, or environmental level. The one who remains calm and at peace receives peace, but the one who is fearful and anxious because they expect the worst will attract it into their world. No one can avoid this. Effort and responsibility. Passing an exam doesn't mean shirking responsibility or being lazy. Those who act in this way aren't adhering to the law and won't succeed because they haven't made the necessary effort. You must take responsibility and study first to ensure things turn out as they should. Avoid cheating. Don't engage in dishonest practices like cheating or shortcuts. These don't work. A student who seeks success must have a clear mind and a pure heart, and not compromise on what is right. Maintain a positive mindset. It's crucial to keep your mind positive and not allow even a fleeting thought that you might fail, that the exam is too difficult, or that you won't know the answers. Erase these thoughts from your mind and don't let them take root in your feelings. Recognize and invoke the divine presence. Acknowledge the divine presence within yourself, your instructor, and all the students. This loving Father within will ensure that everything goes well. Gratitude. Don't forget to express gratitude both before and after the exam. A grateful person deserves all honors and distinctions. Thank you, Father, for hearing me, and all is well. Preparation and invocation. Before going to the exam, the student should calm themselves to be prepared and at peace. Eliminate all thoughts of fear and trust in yourself. Think positively and use the following invocation. Beloved presence of God in me and the Master, I love you, I recognize you, I bless you, and I call you into action to manifest perfection during the exam. I remain serene and at peace and decree that everything will go very well. I wrap myself in the mantle of truth and project this truth to the instructor and all the students taking this exam. I am the victorious achievement and perfect realization. I ask the beloved Master Saint Germain to radiate the violet ray to envelop this exam, transforming any negative particles in this situation into positive energy, returning them to the great cause, and then back to the Master, transformed into wisdom and understanding for all. I complete this invocation with the pink flame of divine love that harmonizes and elevates. I ask the powerful presence to project light and wisdom to the cells of my brain, which are responsible for this task, so that they awaken and fulfill their service well. Thank you, Father, for hearing me, and this exam is passed. When students enter the classroom for the exam, they should remind themselves that they are there to pass it with high marks and that their divine presence is in control of the situation. I am the victorious achievement in harmony with all and for all. Lesson 18. The Cosmic Classroom for Soul Evolution. Earth is a cosmic school, a grand classroom where we all must learn to pass our tests with grace. The universe is filled with countless classrooms of knowledge and practical learning, each one a world or star. The stars aren't just there to shine in the vast, limitless sky. They are schools in their own right, each offering lessons and experiences to those who dwell within them. For some, Earth is like elementary school, where basic foundational lessons are taught. Others are here for something akin to high school, while a few are studying at a university level. Life on Earth is not random or the result of a blind, unyielding force. Every life is carefully planned by higher spiritual authorities and by the soul itself, which consents to and accepts the conditions of its earthly journey, whether they are pleasant or challenging. No one is born without purpose. There is no such thing as chance or a whimsical fate. We shape our own destiny according to our will and the law of free will. We come to this world for several reasons. First, we are at a particular stage of evolution, and this is the class that corresponds to our level. Second, we choose to be here and seek permission from the karmic tribunal to be born or to reincarnate in the physical realm. If granted, we accept the debts we owe and are born to repay them. These debts are mistakes from past lives, wrong actions that harmed others or ourselves. Beyond repaying these debts, the incarnating soul must learn practical lessons through experience, correct its flaws, and develop its virtues, constantly raising its mental and emotional levels. Human beings are in a continuous process of evolution, always moving forward. Evolution is a law that governs the entire cosmos. What we call problems and difficulties in life are actually tests, challenges that each person must face to advance to higher levels and eventually graduate to the level of a superhuman. When there is nothing left to learn on this planet, when one has overcome material attachments, transcended selfishness, and embraced the love for all creation, ascension occurs. The soul leaves this world behind, taking its physical body transformed into light. It no longer reincarnates as a baby in this life. The cycle of reincarnation ends for that soul, but it continues to live in higher realms and dimensions. The ascension of the physical body and spirit was publicly demonstrated by the Master Jesus on the hills of Bethany nearly 2,000 years ago, as an example for all to follow. "What I do, you can do, and even greater things," he said. "I am the way, the truth, and the life. Follow me." Ascension is not an exclusive privilege of Jesus, but a law, a process of graduation for all souls. Sooner or later, everyone must graduate, pass through initiation, and leave the planet forever. Reincarnation in the dense world is not the only path available. A day comes for every soul when this cycle ends, just as a student graduates from university, becomes a doctor, and improves their life and surroundings. Similarly, the soul that has successfully overcome all its life tests and challenges is rewarded with a miraculous transformation and a higher promotion. What we call problems are actually tests to be passed, initiations to be completed, and exams to move from one level to the next. While going through these experiences, individuals often fail to recognize their significance because no one has told them that these are personal evolutionary tests. If they knew, they might approach these challenges with greater awareness and care, and possibly pass them with flying colors. Lesson 19. The Power of Contemplation. Entering the silence through contemplation is a profound practice, one that serves as a brief yet powerful form of prayer. This practice quiets the mind, calms the emotions, relaxes the physical body, and connects us with the highest aspect of ourselves, the supreme source of all wisdom and power, the divine presence, the I Am. The divine presence is energy in action, always within and around us. It is love, intelligence, will, power, and all the attributes that we as human beings possess, gifts lovingly bestowed by this supreme presence. Although this divine presence is constantly with us, guiding us as the essence of life itself, it is essential to make a conscious connection with it, to receive greater gifts, more strength, health, and illumination that lead to success and fulfilling life. Without this inner light, a person is like a blind individual stumbling through life, constantly colliding with obstacles and falling into pitfalls. By the law of life, if we do not consciously choose to be guided by higher spiritual forces, we will not achieve greater things. Imagine a vast reservoir that supplies water to a city. When the communication gate is nearly closed or the pipes are clogged, very little water can reach the citizens for their daily needs. This is a faulty system that needs correction. The same is true for humans. When the channels of communication with the Supreme Presence, our Father, and the source of all we need are blocked, the flow of vital energy needed for our existence is restricted. This blockage occurs because humans are surrounded and permeated by inner layers or bodies, our instruments for thinking and feeling, that are often neglected and dirty, creating serious obstructions to the help, radiation, and protection from the divine presence. Therefore, it is necessary to make a conscious effort to clear these channels. We must recognize, accept, bless, and express gratitude to our Supreme Father for the gifts that have allowed us to exist for so many centuries. Contemplation is a spiritual practice that enables us to make this conscious connection with the Supreme Father and tap into the magical power that gradually frees us from all limitations and suffering. Some of the benefits of contemplation include improved health, cellular renewal, and enhanced physical appearance due to the extra energy received from above, flowing more abundantly once the gates are opened. This energy often manifests as warmth throughout the body, a tingling sensation at the crown of the head, crown chakra, and tingling in the palms of the hands. During contemplation, it becomes easier to receive this energy, which can clear the mind, calm thoughts, and resolve problems and difficulties. Contemplation brings peace and balance. Those who practice it regularly are generally calm, emotionally stable, and do not easily fall into despair. They become a magnet of positive energy, radiating peace to those around them. However, the most important and transcendent aspect of contemplation is the awakening of the inner Christ, the divine presence that resides within the heart. This Christ is not the Jesus Christ of religious teachings, though it is a child of the Holy Trinity present in every human being. We are all three in one, each containing a Trinity within. When the Christ within awakens, The person grows spiritually and feels different, gaining self-control, strength, and wisdom. A person with only the seed of Christ, undeveloped, is like a wild animal, driven by instincts, emotions, and thoughts, with little wisdom or control. They spend their life merely eating, sleeping, working in a routine manner, watching television, and engaging in the countless superficial activities that fill the lives of so many unconscious human beings. The true value that elevates humanity is the awakening of the inner Christ, the inner master filled with wisdom and power, who illuminates, blesses, and prospers the individual incarnated in the physical plane. The Christ is united with the divine presence, the Father, or the first person of the Trinity through supreme energy. They are one in power and glory. Without Christ, a person is like a lost savage in the wilderness, a child ignorant and constantly mistaken. But with Christ one becomes the greatest being in creation. As the beloved Master Saint Germain says, "Whoever practices contemplation and consciously strives to awaken their Christ, nurturing its growth, becomes one of my legionnaires and is often assisted by me." Lesson 20. The art of shielding your inner world. When you enter your room to find tranquility, rest, read, or engage in any activity that requires focus, the first thing you do is close the door, ensuring that you won't be disturbed. You make sure no one calls for you or seeks you out, allowing you to carry out your tasks in peace and quiet. Without taking these precautions, you'd be constantly interrupted by conversations, intrusions, noises, phone calls, and other disturbances, making it impossible to concentrate and causing everything to go awry. The same principle applies to spiritual practices. To achieve satisfactory results, you must first close the door to all external disturbances, then retreat into the silence within, finding peace and calm. This means making the proper preparations before you quiet your mind, relax, meditate, or engage in contemplation. If someone innocently enters a receptive state without taking these precautions, they expose themselves to unnecessary disturbances and disruptions that could have been avoided with the right approach. Just as you wouldn't leave your home's door wide open for any intruder to walk in, inviting trouble into your life, so too must you protect your inner space when seeking silence and contemplation. Closing the door to the external world means being at peace with yourself, calming the human part of you, relaxing and focusing inward, not allowing anything disturbing or distracting to enter from the outside. You must be still enough to find that inner silence where all things come to light. The light protection we recommend is the electronic shield of the Divine Presence, the I Am, and the electronic circle mentioned by the beloved Master Saint Germain. It's also essential to close the doors of our aura to the astral plane, preventing any disharmonious influence from that dimension from disturbing us. This practice generates a powerful electronic energy, invisible yet potent, like a wall of luminous crystal that repels all unwanted intrusions. We are children of the light because we live, move, and have our being within it. Every student of metaphysics within the Great Brotherhood of Saint Germain is a direct child of the light, typically assisted by the masters of the ascended hierarchy, particularly Saint Germain and his twin ray, known in the physical life as Conny Méndez. Light, as the supreme power, resides in every human heart, sustaining life. It is vital, self-conscious energy that produces instant perfection and knows no opposition because it always leads to perfection. When the light is called into action, all imperfection vanishes, and discordant human creations cannot persist. The light sweeps away all imperfections, dispels all errors, restores harmony, and floods everything with its immense power. When someone enters a dark, unfamiliar room, they feel uneasy and fearful, but the moment they turn on the light, all shadows disappear and peace is restored. The same happens spiritually when you invoke the light. The lower influences fade and problems resolve themselves. Light is the central point of life everywhere. It is the radiant core of every atom that forms the physical body, where perfection is always present as essence and power. However, human discordant thoughts and feelings form around that pure point of light like a dense cloud of imperfection, growing and casting shadows over what is inherently perfect. This is the source of the disturbances and suffering humans encounter in their lives. Everything that exists is pure light at its core. The discord is added by humans due to the misuse of free will. Each person on Earth has a shell of imperfection layered over their light, hence the need for widespread purification. Humanity has shrouded itself in dark veils that now must be removed to allow the light to shine once more from within, ending human suffering. What we call ugliness, evil, selfishness, and other discordant conditions are simply layers added to the original perfect light within each being. We are children of the light, and we must not forget this. Therefore, we have the obligation to purify ourselves as soon as possible. Everything originates from light. Light is the universal substance from which all living and non-living forms have emerged. It is the source of all that exists, the supreme force that animates everything manifest in the physical plane and throughout the cosmos. Nothing can exist without emanating from the mighty light, the universal and cosmic light. There is only one power capable of moving through all creation, and that is the great electronic light that permeates everything. The law of life in the universe is the law of light. We live, exist, and have our being within the light. Nothing can live outside of it. The negative polarity, often referred to as evil, is simply the absence or lack of light, always striving to disrupt and cause disturbances if allowed. This polarity is sometimes called the sinister force, though we prefer to refer to it as the other polarity. Religions speak of hell, demons, and so on, which are merely entities from the lower astral plane, or low-evolution discarnate beings that disturb and annoy. The astral is the dimension adjacent to ours, where those who have undergone the change called death reside. It is also known as the fourth dimension and has 7 levels. Lesson 21. Trusting your inner wisdom. Many people struggle to hear the voice of their inner divine presence because they haven't learned to listen or quiet the external noise. They live with their attention focused on the chaos of the outside world, missing the subtle yet powerful guidance within. This inner voice, like a gentle whisper, often goes unnoticed amidst the distractions of daily life, yet it remains a constant source of wisdom, nudging us toward the right path. To truly hear this voice, one must practice stillness and learn to tune out the external clamor. Just as you would stop dancing and lower the music to hear a ringing phone in the next room, you must calm your mind and focus inward to connect with your divine presence. This connection is not a loud proclamation, but rather a quiet intuition, a subtle impulse guiding you toward your highest good. Throughout history, great leaders and thinkers like Gandhi, Edison, and Joan of Arc achieved remarkable success by listening to this inner voice. This voice, the expression of your divine self, speaks through intuition, impulses, and gut feelings, ways in which your higher self communicates. Trusting these inner nudges, even when they seem illogical, often leads to the best outcomes. Nevertheless, it takes practice to use this information. Over time, the inner voice will become more discernible with regular meditation or contemplation that opens the channel. It's crucial to undertake this exercise with an open mind and no expectations of striking insights or audible voices. Often the heavenly direction you seek presents itself as a peaceful notion or an epiphany that resonates deeply within you. Recall that nothing that causes uncertainty, unease, or terror is a manifestation of your divine presence. True advice is always joyful, clear, and peaceful. Let go of the answer if it doesn't come to you right away during meditation. Frequently, the solution will present itself when you least expect it, at ease and going about your daily business. The secret to living a wise and graceful life is to learn to recognize and trust your inner voice. It's about developing a close, trustworthy relationship with your inner self, where the answers lead you toward a life of fulfillment and purpose, rather than coming from outside sources. Lesson 22. The battle between light and distraction. When embarking on a spiritual journey, especially after periods of passivity or disorientation, it is crucial to remain steadfast and vigilant. Many who reach the teachings of the Saint Germain Brotherhood have already ascended through various spiritual levels in past lives, moving from one religion, philosophy, or esoteric school to another. By the time they arrive here, they've reached the final rung of the ladder. But this final step is where the stakes are highest. If one fails to hold their purpose firm, allowing external conditions to interfere, the opportunity for spiritual advancement may be lost. It's all too common for sincere students of the light to start strong, only to falter as distractions from the external world begin to pull them away. A surprise visitor, a sudden illness, a disagreement at home, or the lure of social activities, these can all seem more important in the moment, leading one to postpone their spiritual practice. Gradually, the motivation wanes, and the initial impulse that drove them to seek the light weakens, eventually fading altogether. But why does this happen? The truth is, these students are being interfered with, drawn away from their spiritual path by forces that aim to keep them entrenched in the material world, distracted and enslaved by external conditions. They are unaware that the real battle lies in not giving power to these external distractions. The human being is inherently superior to external conditions, capable of overcoming them, but this power can only be accessed if recognized and utilized. By focusing on the distractions rather than dissolving them, one gives them power. The correct approach is to prioritize the spiritual above all else, knowing that when the spiritual is attended to first, everything else falls into place more easily. This means addressing spiritual needs before tackling worldly problems, allowing the spiritual knowledge to guide and overcome even the most challenging situations. If a difficulty arises that threatens to keep a student from their spiritual practice, they must affirm, first the light, then the problems. By attending to their spiritual duties calmly and consistently, they will find that everything else resolves itself more harmoniously. Spiritual progress requires effort, perseverance, discipline, and willpower. What is easily gained often fades away just as quickly, and it is vital to recognize the value of spiritual teachings, or they will be lost, possibly for a long time. There are two primary causes of interference. First, the times of change and transformation we are living in. The planet is accelerating towards its initiation, and all lower, imperfect conditions that have kept humanity in ignorance and suffering are being transmuted and eliminated. As a great cosmic cycle of 14,000 years comes to an end, we are on the cusp of a new cycle, where the old must be cleared to make way for the new. However, this process is not without struggle. There is a strong resistance between the forces of light and darkness, as the lower forces fight to maintain their hold. These dark forces work subtly, using humans, both knowingly and unknowingly, as instruments to interfere with those who are gaining more light. Students of the light may be targeted by these forces, but if they are aware and prepared, they can prevent interference from taking hold. The second major cause is the opposition of the lower self, the human ego which fears losing its dominance. The personality, which has controlled the individual's life for so long, senses the danger of being overthrown by the higher self, and fights back, using distractions and excuses to keep the student from advancing spiritually. Overcoming these challenges requires strengthening oneself spiritually through perseverance and discipline. Spiritual evolution is like climbing a mountain. Those who pause too long to admire the scenery may lose sight of the summit. Continuous, unwavering effort is needed to reach the ultimate goal, and one must be vigilant not to allow any interference to halt or delay their progress. Lesson 23. Unveiling the teachings of Saint Germain and Conny Méndez. The teachings currently offered by the Saint Germain Brotherhood, popularized and expanded upon by Conny Méndez in their most fundamental aspects, originate directly from the realms of light, where the Ascended Masters of the White Brotherhood reside. Chief among these masters is Saint Germain, who, as the avatar of the New Age, has taken on the special task of guiding the spiritual evolution of Earth since the dawn of the Aquarian Age in 1954. Even before this, in 1945, through Conny Méndez, whom the Masters of Light referred to as Juana Maria de la Concepción, Saint Germain projected a profound yet simple Christian metaphysical teaching onto the physical plane. This teaching, supported by the entire White Brotherhood, is designed to elevate the consciousness of the children of Earth. The reason for this privilege lies in Saint Germain's role as the spiritual leader of Earth for the next 2,000 years. The planet operates on cosmic cycles, each lasting 2,000 years and guided by a master of wisdom. During the previous cycle, known as the Age of Pisces, the Master Jesus was responsible for the spiritual evolution of humanity, imparting what is now known as Christianity. However, as all things must progress in an ascending spiral, Saint Germain now leads the continuation of this spiritual evolution into the age of the violet flame. The metaphysical teachings we impart do not rest solely on the remarkable books written by Conny Méndez. These teachings have also been transmitted directly by the Masters of Wisdom of the White Brotherhood through channels, highly evolved spiritual individuals who serve as transmitters of knowledge when properly trained and protected. Conny Méndez laid the foundation of this movement when she spiritually founded the Saint Germain Brotherhood in Caracas in 1945. For many years, she worked tirelessly to expand this teaching through lectures, conferences, and the training of guides. The Masters have always communicated through channels, with Saint Germain and Jesus being especially active in this work as they are united in the great work. The metaphysical teachings we provide are of a higher nature than psychic phenomena. The channels are not mediums. They do not enter into trances, lose consciousness, or communicate with the astral plane. Instead, they connect with the higher realms of the Ascended Masters, ensuring that there is nothing psychic or harmful in this work. The impact of Conny Méndez's work has been profound, with the seeds she planted yielding abundant fruit. Every person who reads one of her extraordinary yet simple books experiences a profound awakening, as these texts carry a high vibration that stirs the soul. By the law of vibration, readers are drawn into the movement, ready to practice and live the teachings in their daily lives. Conny Méndez's work was meticulously guided by the Masters. She came into the world with a specific mission to fulfill for South America and the planet as a whole, to impart, expand, and popularize the teachings of Saint Germain at a deep and accessible level. Throughout her journey, Conny was mentored by significant spiritual leaders such as Emmett Fox, founder of the Unity movement, and Guy Ballard, who popularized Saint Germain's teachings on the use of the sacred name I Am and the transformative violet flame. Conny's work transcended her teachers, expanding beyond biblical foundations and recognizing the ascended masters of the White Brotherhood. As Conny Méndez re-established her esoteric abilities and extrasensory sensitivity, she received direct instruction from Saint Germain for 2 consecutive years without intermediaries. To protect her from any psychic interference, her chakras were sealed, a precaution extended to all those chosen for specific missions in the human plane, ensuring they were shielded from unnecessary disturbances. The origins of these teachings trace back to the esoteric wisdom of Enoch, whom Conny refers to as the father of metaphysics. Known by various names including Hermes Trismegistus in Greece, Thoth in Egypt, and Cadmus in Phoenicia, Enoch's ancient knowledge, particularly the 7 laws that govern the universe, forms the foundation of the metaphysical teachings we now share. These teachings, passed down through the ages and expanded upon by figures like Conny Méndez, continue to guide humanity towards spiritual enlightenment, offering tools and wisdom for those who seek to elevate their consciousness and align with the divine light within. Lesson 24. When to speak and when to listen. Silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is the mastery of the spoken word, the power to control what you say and how you say it. Words are more than mere utterances. They are powerful decrees that manifest reality. In moments of anger, when the impulse to lash out arises, take a deep breath. This simple act can prevent the release of words fueled by rage, words that can return to you, poisoned and multiplied, causing harm, especially to your own well-being. There are many forms of silence, and not all are virtuous. To remain silent out of indifference, laziness, or fear when action is needed serves no one and can create a karmic debt, a debt that will one day demand repayment, possibly when it hurts the most. Failing to speak up when you should is a transgression against your own spirit, leaving you with a burden that could have been avoided. Silence born from selfishness, where one gains materially by withholding words, is a silence that will inevitably turn against you. It is a false refuge, one that erodes integrity. Likewise, to stay silent out of cowardice, lacking the courage to set things right, is detrimental not only to yourself but to those around you. True silence, however, can be an act of wisdom and prudence, a way to protect your thoughts and intentions from the doubts and negativity of others. When you keep your plans to yourself, you shield them from the critical voices that could derail them before they even begin. There is also a sacred silence, one that must be observed when discussing your beliefs with those who are not ready to understand. Not everyone is prepared to grasp higher truths, and sharing these with the wrong audience can lead to ridicule, misunderstanding, and negativity. The wisest course is to speak only when asked by those genuinely seeking, as they are drawn to you by a resonance with your vibration, not by your words alone. Learning to listen is a skill few possess. The one who listens, who truly hears without the need to interject, gains wisdom and understanding. In contrast, the one who speaks excessively often reveals more than intended, sometimes even exposing the depths of their soul without realizing it. There is great value in listening, for in silence one learns. A metaphysician, someone on the path of spiritual enlightenment, must especially guard against the dangers of criticism. To criticize is to invite criticism upon oneself, as the negative energy sent out will inevitably return. In moments where you find yourself surrounded by such negativity, remain silent, stay calm, and elevate yourself above the situation. Use a metaphysical treatment or decree to dissolve the negative energy, invoking peace and order. However, if you find it difficult to maintain your composure, especially if you are new to this path, it is better to remove yourself from the situation altogether. Being around such vibrations can leave you feeling unsettled, as your spiritual evolution has moved you beyond those lower energies. True wisdom in speech is a mark of genuine spiritual growth. Those who boast of their knowledge but speak carelessly are blind to the law of mentalism, the principle that thought creates reality. Without understanding or practicing this law, one cannot advance on the spiritual path, remaining instead mired in intellectual clutter that leads nowhere. The intellect, after all, is merely a tool, a servant, and should never be mistaken for the master if one desires true spiritual progress. Lesson 25. A pathway to divine connection. True inner silence is essential for spiritual growth. We must learn to quiet our minds, relax our bodies, and silence the constant demands of the external world. In the stillness of our physical self, through self-control and inner peace, we begin to perceive the truth within us. This is where we establish contact with divine power. The noise and clamor of the outer world keep us trapped in the illusions of the senses and the pursuit of material achievements, blinding us and dulling our senses. Our values become distorted, and our foundations crumble, often leading to a harsh awakening intended to provoke a reaction. It's crucial to dedicate time each day to the practice of contemplation, even if only for 10 minutes. This practice allows us to enter a state of inner silence, emerging with renewed strength, vitality, and a deeper understanding of the world around us. Within this silence lies the power and true knowledge, a source of boundless solutions for any situation or problem. Knowing how to calm oneself and remain serene in critical moments is a magical key to success. It opens the doors to divine energy and power, while anger, anxiety, or negativity only block these forces and attract more of what we wish to avoid. Anyone who seeks happiness and freedom from suffering must cultivate inner peace and control. Entering inner silence is not an idle state. It is a purposeful retreat to tap into divine power. After making contact with this inner strength, we can approach our external tasks with greater confidence and clarity. The answers come to us in silence, guiding us away from mistakes and toward inspired actions. Artists, musicians, writers, and creators understand that true inspiration comes from within, guided by the inner divine presence. Without this connection, their work may lack depth and brilliance. To hear this inner voice, one must quiet the external noise, just as one would need silence to fully absorb a book's message. Learning to enjoy solitude is a valuable skill. It allows for reflection, creativity, and inner peace. Not everyone knows how to be alone, and some may find solitude uncomfortable, while others may isolate themselves too much. Balance is key, engaging with society while also taking time to be alone with oneself, free from self-criticism. Even in the midst of daily life, whether at work, on a bus, or walking in nature, we can find moments of silence to connect with the divine presence within. Spending time in natural, peaceful environments, away from noisy, crowded places, helps us reconnect with our inner selves. The silence of nature facilitates meditation and brings us closer to the divine. It's important to keep our spiritual experiences private, especially from those who may not understand or appreciate them. Sharing them selectively can strengthen and inspire others, but each person's journey is unique and should not be compared to others. Guarding these experiences ensures they remain a source of personal growth and spiritual realization. Lesson 26. Healing through forgiveness. Forgiveness is often framed as a moral or religious obligation, a virtue to be practiced simply because it's the right thing to do. However, this approach is often ineffective, as it doesn't delve into the deeper reasons why forgiveness is essential. Not just for the person being forgiven, but for the one who forgives. The human heart is naturally resistant to letting go of wrongs, especially when one feels deeply wronged. Yet the true purpose of forgiveness extends far beyond the act itself. It is a powerful tool for freeing oneself from the burdens of anger, resentment, and the endless cycle of retribution. People who hold on to grudges, who replay the hurt and injustice they've experienced, often fall into the trap of seeking revenge. They believe that retribution is justified and necessary. However, this mindset only serves to perpetuate their suffering. Holding on to anger and hatred not only robs them of inner peace but also takes a toll on their health and overall well-being. The negative energy of resentment and hostility doesn't just dissipate, it returns to its source, magnified, and wreaks havoc on the mind, body, and soul. It can cause immense emotional and physical damage, leading to chronic stress, illness, and even severe health issues. Forgiveness is not merely about releasing others from blame. It's about liberating oneself from the toxic cycle of negativity. By choosing to forgive, one redirects the flow of negative energy and prevents it from causing further harm. True forgiveness isn't passive. It actively dismantles the negativity within, allowing peace to take root. It's not enough to simply refrain from seeking revenge. One must genuinely release the hurt and anger, both mentally and emotionally. This includes addressing the person or situation with a spirit of understanding, saying, "I forgive you, not just for your sake, but for my own well-being." This approach dissolves bitterness and resentment, paving the way for healing and inner harmony. However, forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many people think they've forgiven someone, yet they continue to dwell on the wrongs committed against them. If the memory of the hurt lingers and stirs up anger or pain, then true forgiveness has not been achieved. Forgiveness, when genuine, is accompanied by forgetting the offense, letting go of the negative emotions tied to the memory. Saying, "I forgive, but I don't forget," is a contradiction in terms, as it indicates that the wound is still festering, preventing the healing process from fully taking place. The benefits of true forgiveness are profound. It primarily benefits the forgiver more than the forgiven. The act of forgiving brings peace, alleviates emotional burdens, and restores mental and physical health. It shields the individual from future negative karma, as harboring ill will only attracts more suffering into one's life. By forgiving, one closes the door to negative influences and opens the way to a brighter, more harmonious existence. Those who cling to anger and bitterness, on the other hand, often find themselves mired in misfortune, poor health, and ongoing conflicts. They become magnets for negativity, hastening their decline in various aspects of life. Learning to forgive is essential for anyone seeking a life of peace and happiness. It is one of the most challenging yet rewarding lessons of human existence. Forgiveness cannot be forced or demanded by external pressure. It must be a conscious, voluntary act, born of understanding and a desire for personal and spiritual growth. Lesson 27. transforming challenges through higher perception. To rise above problems and difficulties quickly, it's essential to elevate your understanding, allowing tolerance and peace to flourish. When we view situations from a narrow perspective, everything seems small, leading to clashes and misunderstandings. But when we rise higher, whether metaphorically or literally, we gain a broader horizon, enabling us to see the bigger picture and understand things more clearly. In moments when forgiveness is difficult, this higher understanding becomes crucial. As a student of metaphysics, you possess knowledge that elevates your comprehension, freeing you from the constraints of the lower mind. If someone has hurt or wronged you, remember that this often stems from ignorance or a limited evolutionary perspective. The law of cause and effect teaches us that everyone reaps what they sow, so there's no need to focus on others' actions. Instead, concentrate on your own life, knowing you are accountable only for your actions before the karmic tribunal. True forgiveness doesn't always require words. If expressing forgiveness verbally is challenging, don't worry. Simply feeling and realizing it internally is enough to release the burden. Avoid lowering yourself to the same level in conflicts or difficulties. Engaging in tit-for-tat responses, insult for insult, blow for blow, is unwise. Imagine standing in the path of a stampede of wild horses with arms wide open. You'd be trampled and severely injured. Instead, it's wiser to climb a tree and watch from above as the horses pass by. Similarly, when faced with negativity or malice, it's better to rise above it, letting it pass beneath you without engaging. The destructive energy of negativity is dense and harmful, so it's essential to rise above it calmly. When you encounter such situations, affirm, "I do not accept this because it is not the truth. I do not want or need this, and I rise above it." Call upon your divine presence to take action, invoking divine order to manifest in your life. Forgiving yourself is just as important as forgiving others. Living in peace requires self-forgiveness without guilt or self-recrimination. Never call yourself foolish or degrade yourself, as these negative affirmations are embedded in your subconscious and may manifest in undesirable ways. Self-pity is equally harmful, as it weakens and demoralizes without solving anything. Instead, calmly reflect on your mistakes and invoke the law of forgiveness, a powerful tool for resolving past or present issues with grace and perfection. If you do not invoke this law, true resolution becomes difficult because forgiveness is essential for receiving the divine assistance necessary for overcoming challenges. The law of forgiveness and the violet flame, when invoked with perseverance, can transmute and eliminate past errors, freeing you from their burdens. Saint Germain's great love for this planet and the universal law of mercy enable this rapid transformation, helping to regenerate the world from calamities born of ignorance and misuse of free will. To see clearly, one must adopt a broad perspective. A narrow view leads to mistakes and obstacles because it limits clarity. Set aside personal biases and observe from above with objectivity. Those who live too close to others, trusting too much, may end up unintentionally taking advantage of them. Focusing too closely on the small things blinds you to the larger picture, like only seeing an ant and missing the elephant. But from the elephant's back, the ant's significance diminishes, and it no longer holds your attention. Remember, understanding comes with a broad vision, and without understanding, forgiveness is impossible. Many sufferings and difficulties can be avoided with this higher understanding, which brings clarity and knowledge, allowing for true forgiveness and peace. Lesson 28. Beyond Material Illusions. Happiness in the transient world we live in is often a nebulous concept, shaped by individual desires and circumstances. Some equate happiness with economic stability and family peace, while others find it in the joy of falling in love and marrying the person they cherish. For a child, happiness might be as simple as getting a long-desired toy, but for adults, the sources of happiness are more complex and varied. A politician might see happiness in gaining power and status, while those struggling with scarcity might define it as financial wealth. Many women might seek happiness in beauty and admiration, while others long for perfect love. Happiness, as we see it, has countless forms and interpretations. What brings joy to one person might mean nothing to another. The pursuit of happiness is universal, driven by an inner longing for elevation and perfection. However, people often make the mistake of seeking it in external things: money, sex, power, status, material possessions, and social admiration. Yet, time and again, they find that such happiness is fleeting and ultimately unsatisfying. True happiness is not found in external circumstances, because the external world is transient and illusory. Material success, whether it's money, a house, or social status, is temporary and can easily lose its allure. Genuine happiness is an inner state, closely tied to peace, balance, and a certain level of spiritual advancement. It is achieved through a connection with the divine self and higher levels of consciousness, whether consciously or unconsciously. Acts of pure love and selflessness, as seen in devoted mothers, compassionate doctors, and dedicated teachers, come close to this inner state of happiness. For those who find fulfillment in their work and live according to their true calling, there is a spiritual satisfaction that resembles happiness on earth. However, life's inevitable challenges and difficulties can prevent the experience of complete happiness. The pursuit of happiness takes many paths, shaped by individual preferences and desires. Despite disappointments, the human yearning for happiness persists. While perfect happiness may be unattainable on earth, moments of joy, hope, and fulfillment give us the strength to continue life's journey. To experience lasting happiness, one must transcend the limitations of the material world, break free from the cycle of birth and death, and achieve ascension to higher spiritual planes. In these realms, life continues in ways that are far beyond our current understanding, free from the suffering and limitations of earthly existence. As eternal beings of light and energy, the source of our unhappiness often lies in our attachment to the material and our misuse of energy, leading to future suffering. Those who seek happiness through selfishness, dominance, and control will soon find it slipping away, as true happiness cannot be sustained through these means. Happiness is not for the passive or the complacent. It must be actively sought and cultivated. Practicing gratitude and being present in the moment can help us plant the seeds of future happiness. If misfortune comes our way, it may be the result of past actions, but through new knowledge and spiritual practices, we can transform our circumstances. Finally, gratitude is key. Every day, we should thank the divine for the blessings we enjoy. Many people only realize the value of what they have after it's gone. By regularly acknowledging and appreciating what we have, family, home, work, health, we can cultivate a deeper sense of happiness and contentment in our lives. Lesson 29. The Art of Asking. To ask for what we truly desire in the simplest and most effective way, Conny Méndez offers a profound approach in her book, Metaphysics, for everyone. The key lies in placing our desires and challenges in the hands of the divine, trusting in infinite wisdom and power to guide us to the best outcome. First, be clear about what you want. Be firm and determined in your request. Don't waver or change your mind, as this will disrupt the process. Persistence is essential. The words to use are simple yet powerful, in harmony with everyone, according to divine will, under grace, and in perfect ways. First, clearly state your desire by saying, "I want this," in harmony with everyone, according to divine will, under grace, and in perfect ways. You only need to make this request once. There's no need to repeat it. However, each time the desire comes to mind, simply say, "Thank you, Father, for this is already granted and I am awaiting its arrival." Eliminate fear and doubt from your heart, as they can block your requests from being fulfilled due to a lack of faith. If you approach this process with curiosity, or to see if it works, it won't be effective. Instead, maintain a joyful expectation, as this brings hope and happiness. Be alert to recognize opportunities when they present themselves. Don't let them pass by unnoticed. Remember, you have the divine presence within you, the loving Father who has cared for you since the beginning of time. This presence desires only good for you, wishes for you to be happy, and lacks nothing. The divine never punishes. Instead, it is full of love and understanding, always ready to help you as you progress and grow. However, this assistance must be requested as the law of free will and evolution requires your active participation in seeking it. Lesson 30. Divine Order. To align your life with harmony and overcome challenges, it's crucial to embrace the principle of divine order, a fundamental metaphysical concept that, when applied consistently, gradually brings peace and balance into your life. Understanding and practicing this truth can free you from suffering, guiding you out of problems and difficulties, as invoking a spiritual law compels the lower aspects of existence to fall into place. What is divine order? Divine order is the harmonious alignment of all situations with the truth of God, which is absolute perfection. This truth liberates us from all that is lesser, and, as a natural obligation for every student of metaphysics, it should be practiced daily. Those who truly realize divine order live in peace and harmony, both with themselves and with others. They find contentment in their work, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and are not troubled by fears or anxieties. They maintain their equilibrium, neither seeing things tragically nor allowing setbacks to bring them down. Living in divine order. Living in divine order means being at peace with your family, friends, and colleagues, maintaining perfect health, and not wasting time on unnecessary suffering, as there is much to learn and achieve. It's an active, not passive state that requires decision, willpower, action, and courage. Often, divine order is realized after experiencing disarray and suffering, which are tough but necessary lessons. It involves correcting and realigning everything that is wrong or causes distress, invoking divine order. The phrase divine order carries immense power. When you invoke it, decree it, and genuinely feel it, seemingly magical things begin to happen. Simply say, with conviction and faith, "Here is divine order," and you'll see how everything starts to fall into place, regardless of how chaotic things may seem. If you're facing a situation of lack, whether it's money, love, or work, invoke divine order to bring about the needed change. You can use this decree to calm the pain, protect someone, start a car when the battery fails, or transform conflicts into peaceful resolutions. It's important to close your mind to negativity, refuse to accept it, and declare perfection in all things, because this aligns with the truth of God. The process of manifestation. Keep in mind that everything has a process, therefore divine order frequently takes time to materialize. It does not impose itself suddenly. It takes work, determination, perseverance, and willpower. Think about a messy, disorganized home. It takes time and work to clean and organize it. Similar to this, the divine presence operates through you in your life, but you have to demand and decree things that are consistent with your free will. Examine your life and affairs. Are the good and perfect truths in line with your residence, place of employment, wealth, health, and other areas? If not, make a firm and faith-filled decree of divine order today. Harmonizing things can take a while, depending on how much power you've already given to unfavorable situations. One of the fundamental lessons of the Saint Germain Brotherhood's metaphysics is liberation. The blessing of divine order. Living in divine order is a great blessing. To achieve it, we must start living in truth today. Don't postpone it. Every human being, no matter how humble, is part of the universal harmony. Misusing life, energy, or free will comes at a high cost, leading to suffering and unhappiness. But divine order always manifests when demanded, affirmed, and decreed. The beloved Master, Prince of Divine Order, is an ascended master residing in the high realms of light. You can invoke his assistance in any problems or difficulties that require divine order. The world itself needs divine order. What we ask for ourselves, we should also ask for all of humanity. The secret of success. Decreeing on divine order for others can gradually change them, but we should not focus on their flaws or immerse ourselves in their anxieties. The secret to success lies in maintaining peace so that disorder and imperfection yield and are replaced with the harmony we seek.